Hello again. Something which amuses my wife and me is the number of friends and acquaintances who now claim that they didn't take COVID all that seriously when the epidemic was raging and everybody was running around like headless chickens. They say now that they always felt that it was all greatly exaggerated and that they always thought there was something a little bit suspicious about the whole thing. My memory is pretty sharp, though, and I'm able to remember the truth of the matter. And I cannot help but notice that the keener a person was to observe the strict letter of the various regulations about social distancing, face masks, and so on, the more likely they are now to claim to have been very casual and laid back about the whole affair. The fact of the matter is that almost everybody became swept up in an almost religious fervour about the virus and were very concerned with doing the right thing, as it was said at the time. I hardly knew anybody who ignored the advice about staying in, testing oneself, wearing masks in shops, and so on. I also know many people who used to bang saucepans on their porch each week to praise the NHS as well. A lot of those memories are so embarrassing now that there is a need not so much to forget them as to overlay them with an alternative and fictitious history in which the narrator becomes a daring heretic, a rebel who knew all along that this whole business was a form of mass hysteria and simply refused to get caught up in it. My wife and I have both observed this phenomenon, and we check with each other that our memory is not playing us false, because the stories which people now tell about that time, which was only 4 or 5 years ago when all's said and done, are so convincing that it doesn't seem to me that they are actually lying or trying to gaslight us, but have rather persuaded themselves of the veracity of what they are now saying. It looks to me like some psychological defense mechanism which has kicked in to save them from the humiliating recollection of the true sequence of events when they were following the most extraordinary instructions and rules so blindly and unquestioningly. No wonder they don't wish to face up to this. I would be embarrassed myself if I'd been so obedient to authority in that way. Then there were those who rushed to get first one vaccination, then two, then three, four, five, however many they were asked to get. People simply couldn't wait to get caught up with this business and to receive a vaccination passport with the three vaccinations neatly entered in so that they could carry these around with them. Does anybody else remember that? These days, the people who were frantically queuing up to be injected are talking in a very casual way about how they don't bother to get vaccinated, as though they were always dubious about the benefits of the thing. There's no real point to this video, other than to relate something which we've been finding very funny lately, and also to ask if we're alone in observing this. Have any other viewers also noticed that friends are rewriting the past in this same way?